Level 1, the errand. You carry things. That's the job. You don't ask what's inside. You don't ask who it's going to. You show up at the address, you hand it over, you leave. The exchange takes 11 seconds. You walk back to the car. Your hands are steady, but your chest isn't. You clear $200 for 40 minutes of your time. You tell yourself it's temporary. You're 19, maybe 20. Your apartment costs more than you make legally. The guy who gave you the address, you know him from the neighborhood, from high school, from somewhere that feels safe enough. He doesn't seem like a bad person. He has a nice jacket. He remembers your mother's name. So you go again the next week, and the week after. You start noticing things, the routes, the timing, which blocks you move through fast and which ones you slow down on. You start to understand the geography of the city in a way that nobody teaches you in school. There are invisible lines everywhere. You're learning where they are. You don't know anyone's last name. You're not supposed to ask. When you need something, you call one number. That's the whole structure as far as you can see. You think that's all there is. It isn't. Level 2, the corner. Someone decides you're reliable. That's the highest compliment at this level. Not smart, not ambitious, reliable. You showed up every time, you never skimmed, you never talked. Now you're posted. You have a block, a corner technically, 3 addresses, a 2-block radius, a rotation you run 6 days a week. There are 2 guys under you who you didn't choose. They were assigned. You don't trust them yet. You're not supposed to trust anyone yet. You clear $1,200 a week, cash, no paper trail, no taxes, no record of anything. You buy things carefully, nothing flashy. You were told that specifically in a conversation that lasted less than 2 minutes. You learn the first real rule. Visibility is a liability. At this level, the danger is specific. It's not the organization, it's the street. There are people on other blocks who don't care about your chain of command. There are cops who walk the same route every Tuesday and Friday at the same time. You know this now because you paid attention. You know the difference between an unmarked car and a civilian. You know which neighbor on the corner keeps their lights on until 3 a.m. and which one is actually watching. You're building a database in your head. You don't realize that's what you're doing, but you are. The first time something goes wrong, a short count, a guy who doesn't show, a customer who gets loud, you handle it. Not violently, you just handle it. You keep your voice even, you keep the transaction clean, you report up the chain. Someone higher than you hears about it. He says nothing to your face, but 2 weeks later, you get a new phone, preloaded. No explanation. You understand. Level 3, the crew. You have 4 men now. Real ones, not assigned. You chose them. 1 you grew up with. 2 you tested over the course of 3 months. The 4th was a recommendation from someone you're starting to trust, which is its own kind of risk. You run operations, not corners, plural. You're moving $30,000 a month through your crew and clearing between $6,000 and $9,000 of it personally, depending on the week. You've made your first real compromise. Not the obvious one. You made that the first time you picked up the envelope. This one is different. There was a situation with one of your guys. He was skimming. Not much, maybe $200 over 6 weeks, but enough. You had to make a call. Not a decision about right and wrong, a decision about what kind of leader you were going to be. You didn't hurt him, but you didn't let it go either. You sat with him for 45 minutes and explained very calmly exactly what would happen if it happened again, and you meant it, every word. He never did it again. But you noticed something in yourself after that conversation. The calm wasn't performance, it was real. You actually felt nothing in that room except clarity. You file that away. Above you, there's a man you see twice a month. You don't know everything about him. You know his first name and his car and the restaurant he takes meetings with. You know his habits better than his biography. He tests you sometimes without telling you he's testing you. You've started doing the same thing to your own crew. The system is teaching you how to manage people. The system is teaching you how to think about human beings as variables. You don't notice yet, but that shift already happened. Level 4, the lieutenant. You have a title now, not official. Nobody calls you lieutenant out loud, but that's the function, that's the weight. You manage 3 crews, 15 people, give or take. You are the middle of the machine,
Below the serious money, above the street-level exposure. You exist in a very particular kind of safety that comes with being useful but not yet dangerous. Your income is around $25,000 a month. You have 2 properties that aren't in your name. You have a lawyer, a real one, expensive, who asks very few questions and answers all of yours. You've been in the room when decisions were made that changed people's lives. Not always violently. Sometimes it's just a business decision. A route gets cut, a territory gets folded, someone loses their income in a phone call that lasts 3 minutes. You've watched that happen. You've contributed to it happening. You told yourself it was just business. You believe that now. That's the part that should concern you. The rules at this level are more complex. It's not just about who answers to who. It's about how information flows. You know things that your crews don't know. You don't tell them. You know things that the men above you don't, not because they're hidden, but because you're on the ground and they're not. You manage that gap carefully. You give them enough to make decisions, not so much that you become unnecessary. That calculation, what to share, what to hold, that's where real power starts. You've had your first close call, an investigation. Nothing direct, nothing with your name on it, but close enough that you had to go quiet for 3 weeks. No unusual movements, no contact outside the essential. You sat in your apartment and read and watched television and felt for the first time what it is to be trapped by your own success. You came out clean, but you understood something. The walls are invisible until you hit them. Level 5, the operator. Nobody above you worries about operations anymore. That's your world now. You're the one who keeps things running, supply chains, timing, personnel, contingencies. You've built systems that function without you having to be present. When something goes wrong at 2 a.m., your phone rings once, you ask 3 questions, and you give 1 instruction. Then you go back to sleep. You've crossed $300,000 in a single month. Not every month, but it's happened. You've also lost someone. Not from violence, to prison, which in some ways is harder because it's slow.
He was part of your original crew. You watched him get sentenced on a Tuesday. 18 months. You made sure his family was taken care of. That's the code. You told yourself it was loyalty. Part of it was. Part of it was insurance. You need people to believe you take care of yours. The line between those 2 things, genuine loyalty and strategic loyalty, you can't find it anymore. You stopped looking. There's a woman or a man or someone, a person in your life who doesn't know exactly what you do, but knows enough to be scared. The conversations you can't have, the explanations you can't give. You've built a version of yourself for that relationship, a partial truth, clean enough to maintain. You've gotten good at it. You've gotten good at a lot of things that require the absence of feeling. The people above you at this level are not romantics, they're builders. They think about the organization the way engineers think about systems. You've started to think that way too. Every person is a function. Every relationship is an asset or a liability. Every risk has a number attached. You are very good at your job. That is not a compliment anymore. It's just a fact. Level 6, the underboss. There are maybe 4 people between you and the top. You don't manage operations anymore. You manage the people who manage operations. You sit in rooms where the city gets divided up like a contract negotiation, because that's exactly what it is. Territory, percentages, timelines, enforcement mechanisms. You've shaken hands with politicians, not crooked ones, that's amateur hour. Legitimate ones, at fundraisers, at charity events, at dinners that cost $1,500 a plate. They don't know exactly what you are. They know enough to be useful. You know enough about them to ensure they stay that way. This is the level where the word power stops meaning what it used to mean. Power used to mean control over a corner, over a crew, over a situation. Now it means architecture. You're building something, structures that will outlast you, agreements that hold without your presence. You think about 10 years from now more than you think about next week.
The violence at this level is surgical and rare. When it happens, you don't see it. You're 3 steps removed. You gave an approval, or you didn't give a prohibition, and something happened. You sleep fine. You've been sleeping fine for years. Your identity, the one you were born with, the one that had a mother and a neighborhood and a first day of school, that person is mostly theoretical now. You know his biography. You don't live in his body anymore. The people who love you are scared of you. Not all of them, but the ones who know you well enough. You tell yourself they're scared for you. That's easier to carry.
Level 7. The boss. You sit at the table. Not literally. There is no table, no ceremony, no crown. One day you were second, and then the man above you was gone, retired, dead, or arrested. The details differ depending on who's telling the story. And things reorganized the way water reorganizes around a stone, quietly, completely. People call you by a name that isn't your name, a nickname that stuck years ago. You don't remember choosing it. It chose you. The money is almost abstract. You don't count it the way you used to. It moves through structures that your accountant understands better than you do. You trust the accountant because he's been there for 8 years and he has reasons not to betray you that go beyond loyalty. You give orders now by saying very little. The interpretation is left to the person receiving it, which is by design. If something goes wrong, the decision belongs to them. If something goes right, you knew what you meant all along. The isolation is total, and it doesn't feel like isolation anymore. It feels like silence. You've learned to live inside it. There are people who have tried to move against you, twice specifically. The first time you found out early and the situation resolved without escalation. The second time you didn't find out early and someone died and it wasn't you. You felt nothing when you heard. You felt something about feeling nothing. That lasted about a day. You have more freedom than any person you knew at 19 could have imagined. You can go anywhere, buy anything, open any door. You use almost none of it. Freedom, you've discovered, is mostly something other people need. You stopped needing it somewhere around level 5 and didn't notice until level 7. What you have instead is weight. Everything passes through you. Every significant decision, every major move, every resolution of every conflict that can't be resolved below you. It comes up, and you decide, and then it goes back down. You are the ceiling of the machine. You are also its prisoner. Level 8. The ghost. You don't exist on paper. No photo, no address, no legal name attached to anything that matters. The people who know you're real are the people who need to know, and even they see you infrequently. You move through the world like a rumor, present everywhere, visible nowhere. Your name gets said in rooms you're not in, by men who are afraid to settle disputes. That's the currency now. Not money, not violence, your name, the weight of it, what it implies. You've been at this level for years. You don't count them precisely anymore. The organization runs. That's the thing that surprises people when they imagine this position. They expect constant action, constant crisis. But at this level, if there is constant crisis, you failed. The whole point was to build something that doesn't require your constant intervention. You built it. It runs. You spend a lot of time alone. Not in hiding, not in fear, just alone. The way old architects are alone. You designed the building, and other people live in it. You walk past it sometimes and understand its construction from the outside. You don't need to go in. You think about the beginning sometimes, the envelope on the table, the address on the paper, the 11-second exchange, and the $200 in your pocket. It doesn't feel like your life. It feels like a story about someone you knew once who made a long series of decisions and ended up here, and you inherited everything he built, including the consequences. You are not haunted. That's important to understand. Haunted would mean there's still a version of you that holds the old values up against the current ones and feels the distance. That version has been gone for a long time. What you have instead is clarity. You understand the system completely, every level, every rule, every cost. You understand what people think they're getting when they step through the door, and you understand what they actually get, and you understand that nobody could have told them because they wouldn't have believed it. You couldn't have been told either. You had to live it. The world outside continues. People wake up and go to work and argue about small things and make plans. You watch this from a distance that has no measurement. You are not superior to them. You are not inferior. You are simply elsewhere, in a different country that occupies the same geography, with different laws and different consequences and a different kind of time. Nothing is coming for you. That's both the reward and the punishment. You made it. You're not sure what it is anymore. You sit with that. Somewhere on the east side, in a building you don't think about, a kid just picked up an envelope. He counted the cash, $400. He read the address. He told himself it was temporary. He doesn't know what the rules are yet. He doesn't know what it costs to learn them. He can't see the levels above him. They're invisible from where he's standing. He just knows the envelope was there, and he needed the money, and someone knew his name. He shows up. That's always how it starts. And it never ends the way anyone standing at level 1 can imagine. But he'll find out. They always do.